I am Damonous. Jesus is my king. These are my people. Hello, I am Damonous. Thank you for joining again. Please remember to like this video and subscribe. This is the second video I'm going to do on Barack Obama's legacy. As you can see, CNN has its fancy special about the legacy of Barack Obama. But what is his real legacy? In a previous video, I went and detailed how he was the most vicious anti-Christian administration ever. In this video, we're going to see how Barack Obama has essentially turned the entire world against us, against the United States of America. And I have to say that I was actually myself surprised as I was researching links for this video at just how many countries Obama has just outright insulted or done something just really irrational with, or just acted in such a way that the country can only respond by turning against us. But let's start. Let's start with the scandal that was so well published via the leaks from Edward Snowden, and that was the NSA mass surveillance. Now, while this did happen under Bush's watch, certainly President Obama was clearly aware of this, and his administration could have stopped this. Angela Merkel, the German chancellor, called up Obama, "Are you bugging my mobile phone?" One of the other nations caught in the NSA dragnet, Brazil's president, actually chose to delay a state visit in the United States in response to the NSA snooping. France was upset with the NSA spying scandal. If you recall, there was the incident in the dragnet to get Edward Snowden back in United States custody. They had pulled the passport of Edward Snowden, and they had presumed that while he was waiting in the Russian airport, that some friendly country that was willing to extend amnesty to Edward Snowden would potentially fly him back out of Russia. So, without any real evidence of such, they grounded the plane of the Bolivian president. Evo Morales was not very happy about this. And of course, he was probably doubly unpleased because he is also, and this was from 2009, linked the U.S. Embassy to an alleged assassination attempt on his life. In this mess of all things, Switzerland as well upset, and this goes back to the 2012 campaign trail, when Obama made a anti-Romney commercial, which essentially depicted depicted Romney having an associate who had a Swiss bank account that was illegal. And so this upset the Swedes from a stereotype standpoint. Moving along, Oslo, Norway. This was in 2009. Barack Obama insulted the Norwegian king, and he was supposed to do some special benefit when he arrived for some children, but he denied having dinner with the king, so he insulted them. Australia, of all places. In Australia, he essentially dissed the Australian Prime Minister by making a speech right before meeting him on climate change. And the Prime Minister is very, as I understand from this article, very conservative against the liberal climate change perspective. Poland. So Poland has been insulted by Barack Obama, not once, but several times. In this article from the Daily Signal, there's other articles, but this one they illustrate all three. So in 2010, he chose to play golf on the day of the funeral of the Polish president, the Polish First Lady, and 94 senior officials who perished in the Smolensk air disaster. 8 months earlier, he militated Warsaw by pulling out of the agreement over third site missile defense installations in Poland and the Czech Republic. And then he also offended them by essentially, in a speech in Poland, referring to a Nazi death camp as a Polish death camp instead of a Nazi death camp in occupied Poland. Continuing our world tour, in Venezuela, now obviously there are different sides in the story on whether Venezuela should be an ally, but this is really just not about how bad or terrible countries are, because we're often, the United States, we're friendly with terrible countries and mean with countries that are terrible. So this is really just about how many countries, though, he's just round robin gone and been indignant to. So the U.S. has been supportive of a regime change in Venezuela, and here the Guardian is showing it's a mistake, right? So Venezuelans aren't fans of President Obama. Moving along to the more major nations, China is also someone that Barack Obama has gotten upset with the United States via his actions. He met with the Dalai Lama. That's probably not a terrible person, but this was a specific affront to the Chinese, as he is perceived as a threat to China's sovereignty. Early on in President Obama's administration, he upset England by removing Churchill's bust from the Oval Office and replacing it with one of Dr. Martin Luther King. Now, that in itself may not sound like a terrible thing, but it was a symbolic thing to the British, and it didn't go over very well. One can't forget how bad things have gotten in the Middle East and foreign relations there between the United States and Middle Eastern countries. And here in the Cairo Review, they go on to talk about that Obama already had to deal with a dysfunctional state system and fraying civil societies and blowback from George Bush's invasions in Afghanistan and Iraq. His own actions and inactions throughout 2 terms of office contributed significantly to the great unraveling of the Middle East. And Obama's remark on drone strikes angering Pakistan is an example of the frayed Middle Eastern relations. Hours after Barack Obama confirmed that U.S. drones regularly target militants in its tribal belt, Pakistan today said such attacks were unlawful and a violation of its sovereignty. Our position on drone strikes is clear and based on principles. Drone attacks are unlawful. Also, Turkey, again, one of the more controversial allies, if you will, but Obama had essentially upset Erdogan based on a claim of them not being a solid free society. And what he had told Turkish reporters is that these issues did not come up in our agenda in talks with President Obama. And also with Turkey. Obama alarmed Turkey with reports U.S. may directly arm Syrian Kurds. So it has actually been often that Obama has essentially put either our allies or other countries on edge by the proximity of enemies in their territory and either supporting those enemies or not taking action to stop those enemies. A key ally, Israel. Netanyahu was mocked, if you will, by the Obama administration, insulting his character. And who could forget that the nuclear deal with Iran, which was at great cost to us, greatly angered Israel as well as other allies in Europe and the Middle East. Rounding this up, believe what you will of the president of the Philippines, who has been very outspoken and is doing some very unusual things and um, scary things regarding personal liberties in the Philippines. But, I can't remember the last time another country's leader was so emboldened against the United States as to say he'll break up with the U.S. and he tells Obama to go to hell. And then, of course, Russia. Russia has been for many years now a key ally since the fall of the wall, since perestroika. So this whole concept now of red fear is unusual. It's not to say they aren't someone to keep our eyes on. It's not to say that there isn't a danger of Russia against the U.S. But the things that have been happening have not all been as they may have seemed. So I'll let you read into this, but it's not Russia that pushed Ukraine to the brink of war. So there are very legitimate claims, if you read into it, that the U.S. government was behind the unrest in Kyiv that caused the whole situation, that made matters really bad, and that resulted in this, where this 2016 February, ratcheting tensions. Obama orders huge weapons increase along the EU-Russia border. This was with NATO, and putting NATO right on the edge. And here again, this is what I was saying just before, putting one country against another one, pitting another country against another one in an uncomfortable way that causes them to only be able to react one way, which is really against the interests of the United States. And what could be a greater example than Obama striking back at Russia for alleged election hacking that is yet to be proven? But saving for the last, I think this is the best one. Obama, half Kenyan himself, father a Kenyan. Obama tried to force this discussion in Kenya. Their leaders shut him down. This weekend, Obama tried gay rights policy while speaking to the Kenyan people. Their leader pushed back in a huge way. Kenyan people are not very liberal-minded people as in the United States or other countries. So in a very conservative country like Kenya, this was a serious affront to their leadership. The legacy of Barack Obama is turning the world against the United States.